Okay, and good morning, our beloveds. For those newcomers who do not know our pattern of okay, beloved, and for the old timers trying to shift things up a bit. You're beginning to see how energy now tends to present itself in patterns. And what we mean by that is that you will find, if you pay close attention, that there are patterns within the flow of your life. You may have 3 or 4 days where things really flow easily, and then 3 or 4 days where things really are difficult. Now, in the past, you found that your life either flowed easily to a certain extent, or you struggled. And then there are those of you who just are bitter, negative, cranky old people who always complain that things are not going right, even when they are. But we digress. But those energies are shifted now. We are in a merging of the dark to the light, of the shadow to the soul, of the high to the low, of the yin to the yang, of the God to the devil. It is all coming together, being mushed into one. And the only way that each of you can experience this is by the contrast. It is there, it is there, it is there. But most importantly, what we wish to point out is how the contrast is not only meant to show the contrast, but is meant to show what bliss and ease can feel like even within the contrast. And what this means is as follows. You're not to get attached to the what of your life, whether it's flowing well or not flowing well. What we want for you to focus on is that it is flowing. And within a few days, you will be back into an easier state, and then into a more challenging state, and then into an easier state. It is like a staircase or a ladder going up to a higher elevation. You're beginning to see how the rhythm of life really does create a structure. And when you have the bliss and ease mindset to which you attach, you then don't get too frustrated during the more difficult times, but instead know, number one, that it will just be a few days while you go through these challenging times, and number two, that there is much that you can learn from these difficult moments, because it is all here to teach you. And then you get a bit of a reprieve where things do go better and life flows a little bit easier. And then you are gearing up, recharging your batteries for the next growth phase, which is where you are taking that big step up in the staircase. And then once your foot lands on it and you pull yourself up, you can stand there for a moment to regenerate the energy, to get the output needed for the next step up. It's that simple. It's nothing more, nothing less. It is simply our process of getting you to a higher elevation, which means that when you grow and go through these growth phases, you will become a different person, first of all. And secondly, and most importantly, you will be able to see the world, your landscape, from a higher vantage point. But each time that you go, oh, I didn't know that this is what it really looked like, just know that the next step and the next and the next will continue to change how you see and experience the horizon. And before you know it, you'll be at the top or the pinnacle of your journey, and you will be able to sit and appreciate and enjoy the views. It's that simple. There's no grand agenda to destroy you all. There is only a grand agenda to get you all to grow into the miraculous beings that you really are. But this is done through challenges, through doing weights, so to speak, through resistance. You don't grow bigger muscles unless you have something that you curl or move back and forth, where there is a resistance phase and a non-resistance phase. And the resistance, especially when you are into more reps and you feel tired, they're more difficult. But nonetheless, the next day when you are in the recovery phase and your muscles do indeed feel a little bit sore, but by the following day you're ready to go again for another set of sets, that is all that you are going through now in life. Your growth phase looks much like going upstairs. And if you continue to move forward each day with a step, you will see how within just a 1 year's time frame, you have changed and grown so much. And for those who choose not to join you on this particular phase of the journey, simply say that this is okay. This is a phase where you are meant to walk alone, believe it or not. You will find others who are on that same stretch of the road, if you will, at the same time with you. But sometimes you will get road weary and stop and rest, and sometimes they will get road weary and stop and rest. But do not slow down nor stop your own journey to help others, because number one, it is not your journey, it is theirs. And number two, you are meant to fully express and explore yours as a sovereign, individual human being. And when you all get to the pinnacle, you can then have a huge celebration. But do not slow your progress down for another, nor speed it up for another. It is meant for you and you only to determine the pace and the rate and the enjoyment within which you find yourself. Please yourself more, hurt others less, and become a loving being where you can. We have spoken about boundaries and all of those things ad nauseum, but at the end of the day, be the kindest version of you that you can be, so that others feel safe within their own bodies as much as possible. It really does make a difference, but only where they are not hurting you or taking advantage of you. But many of you have become such prickly porcupines because of your own past trauma that you rip the heads off of another too easily because you are triggered, and justify it as me setting boundaries. It is true at the outset that it is forgivable, so to speak, but after a while we ask you to calm the fuck down and become a more loving and kind human being, because when you do behave this way, believe it or not, you cause traumas and triggers of others also to appear. And the goal and the role is to do as little harm to others as possible, because your own trauma is here to teach you, but not to harm others. So find that sweet spot and keep working on yourself, being as kind and as loving and as trusting and as nurturing and as appreciative and as accommodating and as loving and as accepting as possible. It is a beautiful flower if you make a leaf with each of those attributes that we encourage each of you to have. Just visualize creating a beautiful flower each time you do something kind, and that others will see this beautiful flower and smile. And so it is. Namaste.